All right, good, because I have.
All right, what's up, everyone? I'm Tommy Bullock, and I'm here with my guy, Tom Mancuso. And you already know we bring the heat when it comes to business, branding, and winning in today's market. And today you're in for a treat because we got a powerhouse in the house, and that's Jessica Ehler. So she's not just closing deals, she's growing her mortgage business with next level social media strategies. She's also a mom of three boys, I believe.
Boys. Yeah.
And yeah, which basically means she's a pro at handling chaos and making things happen. So if you're in real estate, if you're in lending, if you're trying to build your brand without begging for leads, this one's for you. We're diving into some of our best strategies, best lessons, biggest mistakes, and hopefully skip a little of the guesswork and start winning. So hit the like button, drop a comment, and share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And let's get into it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Jessica, let's get kind of right to it, but let's get a little bit of a backstory. How did you get into mortgages? And then once you're in mortgages, how did you figure out that the strategy was social media and marketing?
Okay, so as a lot of people know, my husband, Ryan, is my partner, and he's the reason why I'm in mortgage. We owned a gym for 8 years, and for over 5 of them, one of my 5:15 in the morning clients, Scott, he was a loan officer, and he kept telling me, you can't do this forever. Someday you have to move on from here. I would love for you to come work with me. But I was just never at that point. And it got to a point in life where it was around when I got pregnant with our third kid, where Ryan was like, this isn't, we can't survive on this. We can't retire off of this. And he was really ready to move on. So I took over the gym, and he was just kind of trying to figure out his next move. And one day I was getting tired of him complaining about not knowing what to do. And I called Scott and said, hey, Ryan is really good at sales. He's really good at marketing. What can he do in mortgage? And he's like, he can be a loan officer. So literally that day, Ryan called Scott. They talked about everything, and he was licensed within like 30 days. And that was how he got into it. And he was working at retail at the time. And about a year later, I jumped into it to help him because he's not great at, the button pushing. He can't put a 1003 together. He has never once pulled credit on his own. And so that's what I excel at. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come in. I'm just going to be your assistant. I'm not going to really get into sales. I don't like it. And very quickly, I took over that as well. I don't want to say take over, but I just jumped into it. I was like, why am I, being your LOA? I'm going to get licensed too. Actually, I'd been licensed, but I'm going to, really start working towards this too. And so we started making videos together because he had already been doing that at the gym. That's how, for being a small gym, we were very successful. So we knew that video marketing was the way to go. And at the company that he was at the time, they're like, this is stupid. You're wasting your time. You need to just be cold calling realtors. You need to be going out to lunch. This is dumb. We don't want you doing it, even though he was commissioned. You're wasting our time by doing this. And so that's when we moved into the broker world. And the rest is kind of history. We said, this is the way that we want to do business. And I don't care if everybody else is telling us that this is the wrong way. And it really worked for us. So
That's awesome. A lot of people hear the word mortgage and their eyes kind of glaze over. Like it's not sexy, right?
Right.
How do you keep it exciting in this industry? How do you keep it engaging for your audience?
I mean, mortgages are boring. So we did just some of the dumbest stuff. Like we did a superhero video where we were dressed up as, I was Wonder Woman, he was Superman. We did one where we were like making like how to make mortgages explosive or something. And we actually like mixed chemicals and had it explode. And then all of our content, like we really just tried to get down to business with it. I don't know if it's necessarily exciting, but our main goal is to just try to educate and tell people things that they don't know so that they don't get screwed over. So our approach has kind of changed over the years, but we try to make it lighthearted. We wear stupid outfits and stuff, and it helps. I don't know if anybody else would want to do that, but it does work for us. It definitely draws attention.
That's awesome.
So, Jessica, if I ran into you at a coffee shop and I came up to you and said, why would I want to follow you on social media? Like, what would be your elevator pitch to somebody who you would want to follow your content on social media?
I mean, why wouldn't you want to follow my content on social media? The hard part is I'm so boring. I am a complete introvert, and so is Ryan. Like, if you actually know Ryan, we don't go out of our way to talk to people. That's just not who we are. We're most comfortable at home, and we're a little bit crazy. And I think that that's why people follow us. He's doing mountain biking and breaking his arm and stuff and documenting that. And I have a million kids. I don't even know if people probably don't even follow me for that, but it's just, we're ourselves. And I think that people know that we're ourselves. And so that is why they follow us. And you're always going to get the truth from us. So that is one thing that, like, we're never going to sugarcoat anything. It's all about integrity first. And so the people that do follow us, they follow us because they trust us. That's why they come and work with us.
I think, and I think the key there is authenticity in,
Yeah.
in your marketing, but just also in how you guys carry yourselves. Because, and it's funny you say like the introvert thing. It's because do so much extrovert like work, like marketing and
Yeah.
videos, that it's like, okay, I just need to be by myself for a little bit. Like, I just need to get out of that, like the
Yeah.
spotlight. But I think the key is authenticity, and that's something that I've always been drawn to you guys about, because you will always get the truth, you always get it straight, and
Yeah.
but you're also just you, right? And so people, on social media, everybody puts their highlight reel on there, but you
Right.
guys just keep it 100% real, right? And you posted something about your son, I think your youngest son's wrestling, right? Or was it your youngest
That
son?
was Titan. That was the oldest one. But I don't know.
Okay.
Two of them are in wrestling. So if it was him not doing great, that was my oldest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And so, right, and it wasn't like, he won the championship. It was something tough, right? He
Right.
had he had lost in a competition, in a tournament, but it was real. And
Yeah.
so I think, and even I messaged you on that, right? And so that's what's important. I think what people miss is you don't need to stand out on social media and marketing. You don't need to get on there and be fake and just make everything seem glorious. If you're just real, that will set you apart, because everybody else is fake. And so being just real and authentic will make you stand out.
Right. And not everybody's going to be in a winning season. And then I feel like, I mean, I've done it. When things suck, I tend to pull away from social media a little bit, because it's more of like, I'm just trying to figure things out and I just don't need to put my efforts towards that. But that is one of the big things, even with sharing that with Titan, was, he did his best and his best wasn't good enough, but that doesn't mean that it's not awesome. And I think that a lot of people forget about that. They're looking at the people that have been doing video for 10 years and they're like, oh, it's never going to be like that. Why am I not going to try? Or why am I going to try if it's not going to be as good as theirs? And that's not the case at all. You just have to start. You don't have to be winning to put yourself out there.
I love it. Tom and I were at an event the other day, and we got to listen to Trevor York speak. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's another kind of great person to follow. And he was talking a lot about how, especially in social media, it can be very loud. But a lot of people do the same exact thing over and over. Like every home tour looks the same. A lot of realtors dress the same. A lot of loan officers dress the same. How do you, what would be your advice to kind of stand out and get outside of the norm? Because you're awesome at doing that.
One of the things that I told Ryan the first time that he was ever going on stage for mortgage, he was really nervous about it. And I was like, who cares what any of these people think? Just do you, boo. And he laughed about it. And he actually talked about that on stage. So we're quirky people. And that was something that, we kind of got teased about and bullied a bit in junior high and high school. And you carry that with you. And then you get to a point in life where I just want to do things the way that I want to do things. And I dress the way that I want to dress. And I like to stand out a little bit. I am introverted, but I'm kind of a loud person, a little bit obnoxious. And I'm not afraid of being that person anymore. You know, some things had happened in the last couple of years. I got really sick. And when you realize that none of those people care or are there for you, then you really stop caring about what anybody thinks. I don't care what any of these people think. They're not paying my bills. They're not helping me through the hard times. So that's kind of my thought on that. Just be yourself. And everybody has quirks. Stop hiding them. And people are going to follow you for that. People are going to resonate with that. They're going to appreciate that authenticity.
Absolutely. I would much rather do business with people that are, I guess, drawn to me for the things that I like to do and things like that and my tribe and my people than just trying to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, I heard Alex Ramosi on a podcast yesterday talk about, we're so concerned about other people's opinion when those people probably they won't even show up to our funeral,
No.
right? And so, like, who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't even matter. And like 6 months after we're gone, they won't even remember us. So like,
Right.
why they're not paying our bills, like you said? So like, why would we give them any second thought, right? And so that's an important thing, and it's a cliff for some people to get over. But like you said, and just like your son losing interest, we learn more from the losses than we do the wins. And it's the struggles, right? Like, we recently had lunch and we talked about some major struggles that we both have been through, and you and Ryan have been through. And what can we learn from that, right? And that prepares us. This industry, whether you're a realtor or a loan officer, it's a roller coaster. And so to be prepared for the downswings, everybody loves the upswings, but it's the downswings you have to be prepared for. And the ability to, one of the things I think you and Ryan have done a good job is to adapt, right? Your marketing hasn't always stayed the same, right?
Right.
Is there something that you guys were surprised about that went, like, just got a ton of views or a ton of action? Do you remember that there was something that you guys did that you were unsure about that really hit off?
The worst videos are the ones that pop the most. And it's really true. I went back through, especially TikTok, because you can really easily see, where your best videos are. And I had never even watched some of Ryan's videos. He just posts things and there's like 100,000 views on it. And I watch, I'm like, okay, I need to see what he said and kind of replicate it. And I'm like, this is trash. I don't even know how anybody watched this. Like, why would this have so many views? But he didn't care. He didn't give a shit. He needed to put out some content because it had been a while. It was 47 seconds or something with a really quick breakdown on VAOTC. And, we're closing one of those. We're working on it right now. So it's the things that and I just did it. I just did it to myself. I'm like, I'm going to get on TikTok. I hate it. I have never wanted to be a part of it. So I sat and shot like 20 videos and I put them out. They've done horribly because I was trying too hard. The pre-workout beforehand probably didn't help, but it was like I was so stiff. I wasn't necessarily myself. I was really serious. I was trying to be professional. And I feel like it almost backfired on me because, I've gotten people that have reached out and stuff from them, but they've never performed to the garbage videos that Ryan made in the freaking basement of our last house, like with bad lighting. And he's like super intense, like, and I'm like, oh my God. So I don't know. I think that it's the more authentic that we are, that they get better views. That's just kind of the way that it goes.
To give people some backstory real quick. So Jessica was like, first of all, one time I did a video with Ryan and Jessica not long ago, and I was even shocked because like we did some different outtakes, and I was like, oh shit, like they're like real, like they make mistakes. Because I was super nervous. I'm like, man, you guys are the total pros.
I did horribly.
I'm like, I'm gonna screw all kinds of shit up, and you were like, wow, you're really good at this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We had to do some outtakes, just lines and forgetting lines and things like that. But I asked you about a video one time that you put on like Facebook or Instagram, and you were like, you like that? That was 27 takes to get that like 60-second video. I was like, what? You were like, oh yeah. You're like, this is why I have like a glass of wine before I do these videos, because I get super nervous. And so fast forward last month, she's talking about a video that she did. And she's like, hey, what did you think about this video? I was like, that was pretty good. She's like, well, that one was 40 outtakes because I did a pre-workout because it's dry January and I couldn't have a cocktail. I was like, oh shit, you took a pre-workout before doing videos? That probably is
Worst idea ever. I thought it would make me more amped, and it just made me fumble over my words more. There was more outtake. Like it was bad. And that's another thing too. Like when you and I shot that last one, it was a script. And I am awful at scripts. So if you've been trying to do scripts and they haven't been working for you and you feel really self-conscious about it, just ditch them. I do so much better if I can just have bullet points and just kind of speak from the heart. And I might have to go a couple of times, but it's so much easier than trying to memorize a script, especially when there's a lot going on.
And that's what Brian had done a script for the videos that we did.
Yeah, and he wrote it, so it was even worse.
Yeah, and so like while we were saying it, we're like, that doesn't really sound good. Like, why don't we just do this? And that's how Tommy and I are. Like these podcasts with people, like we have some questions, but we just kind of go with it. And I think that that's the important thing to get the real person out, to really connect with people, because they don't want a perfect person, right? They want just somebody who's real. And I think if you can let that come across in your videos and your marketing, that's the goal, is to connect with people on a personal level. And being perfect is, I don't think, the strategy there.
No, and it's all social media. You look at other people and think that their lives are great when, I just met with some realtors yesterday for lunch and hearing what they're going through, but online you wouldn't know. You would not know. But then you're getting together with them and you're asking the right questions and everything's trash for them too. So, people aren't going to show you their worst sides. And I'm one of those. I don't necessarily put my worst stuff out there either. People don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But then I just don't post it all. So, be authentic, but some people take it a little far.
Yeah. On that topic, there's probably two different sides to this. There's one group that says you just post every day, just post as much as you can. And then there's another side that says, well, the quality is a little bit better, and we need to focus on quality versus quantity. Well, what do you think? Is there a difference? Should people be posting every day? Should you be worried about lighting and camera angles and everything else? Or should you just be sharing your everyday life?
I think it depends on what your goal is. I think it depends on the platform. Like TikTok, let's just go every day. Don't worry about how it looks necessarily. Get something out there. But I do think that produced content in the right place is also important. It has a different, everybody can have a microphone in their basement and talk. And there's a little bit different thing. It just looks a little bit more professional, I think, when you can put one together once in a while, but don't worry about doing it on a daily basis. Now, when I was more intentional about social media and I was posting 3 to 5 times a week, obviously business was definitely better, and I need to get back into that myself. I kind of took a little bit of a break off for wrestling season, but it does help if you're posted, because people forget about you. And that was, to our point earlier, is that nobody's thinking about you. So if you're not staying in front of them all the time, they're going to forget that you exist. So you need to at least be posting once a week. And it doesn't have to be curated.
What do you think, maybe this is leading into that, what do you think the biggest mistake you see other loan officers in their marketing are they doing?
They talk way over people's heads. So people don't care. Like, you can give a nice overview of what's going on with, the MBS and the 10-year and blah, blah, blah. But people get so into the weeds with it that I don't even understand. It's not even important for me to do my job. So how is the average consumer? 50% of people have a 7th grade reading comprehension level. And you're talking to them like, unless you're going for investors and people that are really in it and that's their target market, there's no reason to talk over people's heads all the time. Maybe it makes you look smart, but I don't think that it's really doing anything for you.
I just saw a loan officer talking about, this is a couple weeks ago, CPI reports. He's like, hey, everyone, CPI report's coming out Friday. Like, what consumer knows what the CPI report is and how that would affect the treasury bond or mortgage rates, right? Like, many consumers don't even understand that treasury bonds are linked to mortgage interest rates. And it's like talking about not even breaking down what CPI stands for. It's just crazy. And I thought, God, how can they possibly connect people by just throwing that jargon out, right? And maybe it is they're trying to sound smarter or like in the club, but they're turning off their audience, I think. So that's good.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of our successes, I should be able to explain it to my 7th grader and have him understand what I'm talking about. So that is my goal all the time, is to take these really complex things and break it down into easier things for people to understand, because they don't care. And that's like, even if they comprehend it, they don't care. So talk about what they do care about, which in the end is getting their house, how to get them into a house.
Yeah, my 3-year-old asked me. He's already throwing shade at me. He's like, "How come you don't work at a work?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Mommy puts on she goes to work. She works at a hospital. Like, how come you don't?" I'm like, "I work in the office there." And yeah, but it's not like a work. I'm like, "It is a work." He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I help people. I help people get homes." And he's like, "What do you mean you help people get homes?" Like I help people get a pool or a bigger yard so their kids can play in. He's like, oh, like yeah, like just to be able to connect with people, like dumb it down is important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, my 7-year-old was like, we were talking about work. He's like, "Oh, you worked today?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I do when you leave for school." And he's like, "So what are you doing these days?" And I'm like, "Mortgages." And he's like, "How long have you been doing that? When did you start?" And I'm like, "It's like, what do you think I do?" So,
Getting good at it, like
yeah.
no.
Yeah. So what does your day look like?
I
Like, what do
mean,
you?
these days I'm not on top of my game as much as I was when I was super busy, which I am changing that now that wrestling's over. But for the most part, I do get up early to work out. So I start my day with working out. Sometimes I read or something instead. Kids go to school at 8, and then I try to get everything done between 8 and 3, because I'm the one that picks them up. And once they get home, I can still jump in and do things, but it's obviously a lot harder. And then with wrestling season, that was over 20 hours a week, more like 30 to 40 with driving all over the place. So now that is just ending, my days are going to look a little bit different. I think I'm going to be working a lot more than I have been kind of back in refi days. It's a little bit different because the level of hustle is different, because I now have a different team set up. And so I'm going to go about things a little bit differently.
Are you
I don't know if that
focusing
makes
on
sense.
any one? Yeah, no, that makes sense. Are you focusing on any one certain platform? Like, is there anyone that's gold right now between
TikTok has
TikTok,
been
Instagram,
working
LinkedIn?
TikTok has been working the best. I've never done LinkedIn, which is something that I probably should get into. I'm starting a Facebook group. I have Instagram has always been okay, but that is more like with my sphere. And then Facebook, I haven't been doing a lot on Facebook, only because I feel like it's changed a lot recently, and it's mostly like ad. So I don't personally want to go on it. So I'm not spending as much of my time on there as the other platforms. But TikTok gives us actually a lot of leads. And of course, AmeriFund is licensed in 29 states, and half of them are for other states. But at least getting those relationships under my belt and having follow-up conversations. It's a hard market right now. A lot of people are having a tough time qualifying with the rates. So it is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's. I see that a lot too. Like, I'm scrolling through Instagram, and even if it's, I don't know, an organic post, everything just seems like an ad a lot of times.
Right.
How do you share content? Because obviously, at the end of the day, we are trying to generate leads, so technically it is an ad. But how do you do that and have it not come across looking like an ad?
So I try to have I like images. Ryan's all about video. I've always been about images, and I just try to have something interesting. Like one time I did this dumb thing with a donut, and I put it over my eye, and I was like, "Donut, worry about mortgage rates," or something stupid. But I had 5 people reach out to me from that. So I try to have things that are funnier, that are weird, that make people stop their scroll. If if you're not going to stop and be like, what the heck is this? Then nobody else is going to either. So it's more of me just being weird. I feel that helps with stuff like that. And then I have noticed too, one of the mistakes that I was making when I shot all of those videos for TikTok was that first line has to be what catches people. So if you're doing a video and you're like, blah, 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 and then, hey, this is a question that's asked frequently, blah, 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 people are already scrolled up. So you would say, instead of like, that's a good question, you would be like, you can buy an investment property with a VA loan. That's the first line. You have a hook like that. And then go, but there are, blah, 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 and then you go into how you have to actually occupy one of the units, blah, blah, blah. But just saying that is going to stop people. So if you're doing a video, cut out all the crap at the beginning, because the only people that are going to listen to that are people that know you. So if you're talking to an audience of people like TikTok, people on there, nobody knows who you are. So you need to establish that right away. So that was something that I learned. And then another thing is just because it doesn't get a lot of views doesn't mean that it's a crappy video. I had one where like nobody could see it. It didn't take off at all. I posted the exact same video the next day. I had 2 people reach out to me. And even then, I think I only had like 160 views on it. So don't get bogged down by the metrics. Just keep going. Sorry, I went like way off topic there, but
no, but
you're good.
that's a question I have is like, and maybe you already answered it. You make something great, which is good, right? Not
right.
being cocky, but it's good, it's quality, but it lacks in engagement. Like I think we've all probably posted something and like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it sucks, and you're like, what do you do? Like, how do you get engagement? Like you said, you maybe repost it the next day, but what do you do? What's your strategy?
So that was pretty much the strategy. I just reposted it at a different time. And then this time I added a comment in to the comment section. Don't know if that helped or not. I don't know. TikTok is stupid. Ryan has a video that has only had like 5 likes and it has thousands of views. And then I post one that has 19 likes and it has comments and it has shares and it has saves, and it capped me at like 380. I have no idea why TikTok does what TikTok does. So I just keep posting. I'll post that video again in a couple of weeks, and I don't feel bad, but I used to get like, oh my gosh, people don't like me. They don't like what I'm saying. And now I'm like, I don't care. I will do this again later. It has nothing to do with me. It's an algorithm. You can do your best, I think. But like I said, the stuff that's taken off for Ryan, I've watched it and I'm like, that's garbage. Like, I don't even understand why people are watching it. So it's don't take it personally. Don't put something out and feel bad if nobody's looking at it. And sometimes like when Ryan and I would work on some like bangers back in the day, that would take us hours, and it would be hours of editing, and you put it out and crickets. I would literally text my friends and family and be like, hey, go on Facebook and like this, and leave a comment or something, please. And then it would get things rolling. I have no shame. I do not care. This is business. This is how I feed my family. No shame.
So on that subject, I have some friends we call the Hype Squad.
Yes.
Where we will help boost each other's posts. Like if they post something and they wanted to get some traction, and we will text each other and be like, hey, can you guys whip this post? Like, can you go comment? Can you go like and comment on the post? And so that's a key thing, right?
Right.
This is how we feed our families, right? And it's, again, a lot of the content that you're making is educational and does help people. And so it's
right.
like you're not stealing from people, right? And so it is important to get views on that stuff, because you are helping more clients, you are honest, you do treat people the right way. So I think people find shame in that, but there is no shame. Like the people that I do that for are good people also. You both know the people I do this for. And so it's not like I'm helping a drug dealer, right? Kidnap kids or something. Like it's a good thing. And so I think people, you don't need to, it's not the end of the world. Like you're never gonna, the algorithms change too. That's the other thing. As soon as you have it figured out, they're going to change. I posted something the other day. Tommy was one of the he got 3 likes in like 48 hours. I was like, what the hell did I do wrong? I was like, Elon Musk and Zuckerberg out for me. Like, what happened? And so, but it changes, right? And then I posted something yesterday, got a ton of traction. And so you just have, I think consistency is the key. Like you said, keep at it. You have to keep going. And at the same time, your content will get better. The more that you do, the better it gets, right? And so that's a key thing.
Yes, I was very bad on video. I cried every time I shot video for years and years and years. Every single time I would break down in tears because I had so much pressure on myself to be great. And I'll tell you what, maybe it's getting older. I don't know, but I don't care anymore. I don't care if you think I'm a dumbass. I am just going to live my life and get whatever I can.
Yeah. There's a lot of noise, a lot of kind of bullshit gurus that are out there that say, come take my course. I'll help you with your social media. If it just pays for one loan, then, it pays for itself. Have you fallen for any of that stuff? Have you
No, but that's only because Ryan is the one that's kind of always been in charge of that. We did offer our own course. It actually did very well. Ours was a little bit different on that though. But it depends on what they're teaching, but you can't teach confidence. I mean, you can try, but a lot of the times, even when we were coaching people, the ones that were successful were the ones that were just like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And the ones that were just there because I think some people do that to make themselves feel better. Like if I'm taking this course, then at least I'm trying, but then they don't do anything that you tell them to. But I really think that it is just to make them feel good about what they're doing. But if you're not going to implement it, you can keep listening to Ed Milet and, all the other people out there, but you're never going to get where you want to go if you don't start moving. That's just the way it is.
On that podcast, Alex Ramosia, they called it a wantrepreneur, right? You have an entrepreneur, and then you have like the motivation junkies who continue listening to like Ed Milet. Right. They listen to all the podcasts and go to the events, like the Tony Robbins event. They're there, and then it's nothing. Like they don't do anything with it, and so that's a major problem. Your and Ryan's course was different. Like you guys were teaching editing and teaching actual production stuff.
Right.
Like I see what Tommy's talking about. Like there's these magic, you take my course, you're gonna be a millionaire tomorrow, right?
We've paid ads people because Ryan's like, my ads aren't performing as well as I want. Let's hire a professional ads person. And oh my God, the garbage. And then what they charge for it. And I'm like, guys, this is not the vibe. This is not it. We lost thousands of dollars and got nothing to show for it. So I don't think Ryan's actually taken any courses, but we've done the paid ads thing through other people because he was always second guessing himself on, maybe if this is what somebody does as a full-time job, they're going to do better than I am. And it wasn't. It was really bad.
That's what
a lot of those kids, they took some other person's online course and just said, I can go have an agency now, right? And they're working in a bedroom and they don't really know what the fuck they're doing.
No.
Right? They haven't done millions and millions and millions of ads. So it happens all the time.
Yeah. But that one was rough to suck up though.
So you touched on this, Jessica. You and Ryan have been through some challenging lifetimes, just some medical stuff. And for people who know you personally, you guys moved to Massachusetts and moved your family there and recently moved back after a couple of years. That's a pretty big shift, right? You guys have kind of, started over and you've shifted, you've adapted. The market has changed tremendously in that time. So people should know, influx about the same time the market changed, you guys went through some of these challenges as well to make things even worse. What advice would you give people the realtors that you're talking to, like that you talked to yesterday, loan officers who are struggling? What advice would you give them to kind of pull back and regroup? What's your strategy? How do you motivate yourself? How do you keep your head up? What gets you guys through this?
Keeping our heads up is still a daily. It's something that we're both still working on daily. There's still after effects of us both being sick and stuff that we still are fighting through. So one of the things that I tell everybody, get your shit together. Nobody wants to go to the gym every day. Nobody wants to eat healthy. I love booze. I love it, but it does not love me. I love smoking cigarettes. Had to quit years ago. You have to take care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not confident, you're not going to make those steps forward. So that's one of them. And then another one is to find something that you love doing within the industry and go all in on it. You know, I love VA loans. I'm going to always advocate for veterans. That's like, I spent a lot of time, you know how much time it takes to go through vetted VA, and that was something that was really important to me, and that's something that I'm going to keep fighting for. I'm going to keep fighting, because the banks screw people over, and people don't think that they're qualified when they are. And so that's my mission, and so everybody needs to find their mission, and it might not just work for you all of a sudden, but just keep fighting for it. Keep fighting for what's important to you. If you're, especially realtors, if you're in your area, be the local pro, be the person that is volunteering at things locally, be that person, and business will come to you. I mean, like, things are slow right now. It's not like I'm going to pretend that I'm even a top producer anymore, not at the moment. But I had to pivot, and you just keep going. I'm just going to keep picking myself back up and trying different strategies. And that's all that you can do, is to just keep trying and to be your best self. Like we talked about with my son earlier, he was very upset that he failed. It's not failing. You're getting better. You're better than you were. Just keep going.
Yeah, failing is, everybody falls. It's the people who don't get up. That's the true failure, right? And the
And
people who
it's hard to get up sometimes.
absolutely. And yeah, and I think there's a lot of good stuff there. People forget, like, getting out there, letting people know what you do. You're at the wrestling events, as much as you maybe don't want to talk to other parents. Just somehow finding a way to let them know what you do for a living. With ask
Well,
what they do.
I wear my t-shirts. I'm still all about my t-shirts. I love mortgages. I love VA loans. Guess what? The coach is a retired Army, and he knows a bunch of people, and I volunteer at wrestling. I've spent a lot of time there. And am I getting anything from it right now? Nope. Will I get something for the next 6 freaking years that I'm part of the wrestling program at that school? Absolutely. So it's, you can't put all of your eggs in a basket, or even, you're trying something, you're like, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to just move on. You have to, it'll pay off. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, I went to my boy's preschool to pick him up, and I was wearing an I Love VA Loans shirt, and the assistant director's like, "Hey, what's your shirt?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a mortgage broker, and I like to help veterans out." She's like, "Oh, my husband he's a veteran, and we have a VA loan." And I'm like, "Oh," like, it just starts that conversation, right? And that's a very important thing. It's also just volunteering, right? Being part of the wrestling team, just being a parent, right? But also letting people know what you do. And you're not going to get instant return. That's the key. What Jessica just said there is, you're not going to walk away with a lead right then and there, but in time, right? One parent talks to another parent, or a parent has a friend who's buying a house or needs to refi, right? Or getting a divorce, or has high interest rate debt they need to consolidate. Like, there's lots of things that can happen. And so consistency, making sure you're getting out there, letting people know, what you do, will build up for sure.
Yeah, you need to try to have a life. I'm not I'm not very good at it, but look at Ryan. He was wearing his I Love Mortgage shirts. He was like in a mountain biking group, and on Facebook they got together all the time. He always wore his I Love Mortgages shirts. Didn't pay off right away, but when that refi boom hit, I can guarantee we made well over $100,000 just from him hanging out with that group and people knowing that that's what he did. It's a long game. Everything in this is a long game. And if you're in it for how much money can I get right now, I mean, it can work for you, but I have a feeling you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot of problem with social media for a lot of loan officers, is they kind of start and then they don't see any result, and then they just, say this isn't working, and they go try and do something else. So
Yeah.
earlier you said that, you were at one point a top producer, not necessarily right now, but you're on your way back up. So for yourself or for somebody new, like, what does that look like? What's your kind of plan of action in order to get back up to the numbers and doing the type of business that you're comfortable with and want to do?
I got a whole bunch of things here. have written down
All
because
right.
this is what I do. I have a whole list of all of the things that if you're taking every single approach that you can, there's a whole list of things that you can do. So then I look at it and I'm like, okay, what can I get done the fastest? Or what's something like my website? Okay, the website is done and I never have to touch it, again, pretty much, unless I want to add something to it. So video, I've got emails going. I got 52 weeks of emails to go out. I have a daily rate sheet that I'm horrible about posting on social media, but that I'm going to get back into doing. I got into TikTok, which I hate with a fiery passion. I'm even editing my own videos for it. I learned how to do it. We've got HomeBot. I've got a first time home buyer guide. I'm working on Google SEO. So taking that website, making it a little bit more SEO friendly so that when people do Google searches, they're going to find us. YouTube. So we used to do YouTube a lot. We got a lot of leads from it. We kind of let it go because it was something that took a little bit more time. But when you're not producing as much, you got a little bit more time. So doing that, networking events. I don't like getting together with people. It's just not what I do, but there is an all women's thing that I'm going to start doing in Phoenix once a month. So it's getting out of my comfort zone and doing the things that I don't necessarily love doing. One thing that I will say is that if something just feels icky to you, like it's just, you don't want to do it, find something else. There's all of these other things. We tried to do the whole kissing up to realtors and providing all of these things, and it didn't really work that great for us. It was more of a headache and it made me feel bad about the industry. So I have my realtor partners that I invest a lot into, but I'm not necessarily chasing like I was when I first got into my career. I want it to be mutually beneficial. And so I like finding the people that want the same thing. I don't know. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
no, that's
I
great.
think I said a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Like I'm a little more consumer direct focused. So, and
Yes, I'm more
kind of that,
consumer direct
right?
focused myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the keys that you said there is, if there's something that you just don't want to do, find something else. It doesn't mean
Yes.
don't go out and get involved in the community or networking type events. So like this week, right, we have Waste Management Open, right? The Phoenix Open is here, and oh my
Ryan's there
gosh,
today.
yeah, I've gotten so many invites. Like, first of all, I don't know if I don't like golf. That's just not my deal. I used to play golf when I was
Perfect.
younger. I'm just not a golfer. I don't drink. I'm not going to go there and get wasted. Like, right? That's not my idea of networking. But
Right.
then a group of professionals invited me, like, hey, we're going to have a pool party and barbecue. Like, would you be, yeah, okay, cool. I'll come to that. Right. But I'm
Yeah,
not going to go watch golf and people get drunk and silly. Right. That's not my idea of networking or being involved. But there are things that people can do. That doesn't mean not, don't get involved. Just find something different. So there's a key there that Jessica said for sure.
definitely.
The market's wild right now. What do you think's like the number one biggest thing that buyers or realtors or whoever are confused about?
Confused about. I think that people have a lot of false expectations about the cost of things. I'm sure that you guys do it all the time. People are like, I want this house at $600,000. And then you tell them how much it costs. And they're like, are you nuts? And I'm like, this is math. I don't know what to tell you. So I think that that's one of the biggest things, that people aren't understanding how much it costs with the rates. And realtors are frustrated. It feels like that we're not doing our job selling people into doing it anyways, like saying, oh, you can refinance later, blah, blah, blah. I'm never going to tell somebody that I know that they can't afford it right now, that just hold on. Just, you'll be able to afford it sooner rather than later, because right now we don't know how much things are going to keep costing, and everybody's using their credit cards to live off of. So I feel like that's one of the biggest, I don't want to say misconceptions, but people just aren't living in reality right now. It's my opinion.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? As somebody asked the other day, Tommy and I were talking about this, about like VA loans, right? There's not a traditional debt to income limit, but just because you can put someone in a very expensive home with a high debt to income limit doesn't mean you should, right? There comes a point where you have to have an honest conversation, and many times the client's like, well, rates are going to come down. Yeah, but when? I don't know when. Well, the other loan officer said, I can refi in 6 payments. Yeah, if rates come down, like
Right.
if rates don't come down, there's a lot of people that said that 2 years ago, and rates ended up going up at some point. And so it's like it's not a for sure deal. And so that's why it's very important to talk to somebody who's going to be straightforward with you, right? Jessica talked about this, like they're very upfront and honest, and you may not want to hear it, right? But I never want to sell someone a mortgage. Like, no way. Like,
Right.
I'm definitely not the loan officer for someone or an agent partner who wants me to be selling people, slamming them into a mortgage on hopes they can refi in 6 payments, where we don't know. Like, we just don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about some personal stuff too. How much of your personal stuff do you share on social media? Do you only post business content? Are you posting to your personal page and a business page? What type of mix do you do there?
So we had the business page going for a while, and it had, it was years. We were posting to it for years, and it just had no return. So we still have it so that we can run ads, but we just have our personal pages. It just says Jessica Ehler on it. And that's my branding. My branding is, you're coming to me for this loan. You want me to be your loan officer. So I could put mortgage broker or something after that, but first it's my personal page, and second, I share business on it. TikTok's a little bit different. That's just business. I don't share any of my personal stuff on there. There's a lot of people that they don't need to be up in my business. Whereas Instagram's only going to go so far. Facebook is only going to go so far. So it is. It's more about me first, who I am. I haven't been great about sharing things, but it's literally because for the past 4 months, my life has been nothing but wrestling. And I look like a scrub most of the time while I'm there. So I'm not like shooting videos in my car while I'm waiting for the next match because I look awful. But yeah, once I'm getting more into it, and I am pretty intentional. So I usually have a list of maybe 15 to 20 different types of posts that I want to make throughout the month that kind of represent my brand. And I've gotten kind of away from it, but we're going back to it. And it's still really personal, but it conveys the values that are important to me, while also sharing my life. So some of it is a little bit more curated, but it's like authentically curated.
So what's, I guess, kind of two parts here. What's the process that you go through for, I guess, creating that list?
Mhm.
Like, what's sort of the mindset behind that? What are you looking to gather? And then part two would be, what was your highest performing video or content piece or whatever that you've ever done? Like, what did that one look like, if you know?
So I guess my personal stuff actually has obviously way more love than anything else. So anniversaries, stuff like that. When I went through my health stuff, I did post about it at the end when I was like more recovered. I'll just say it. I got my breast implants taken out because I had gotten sick from them. And that post was, that did better than anything I've ever posted before. But so it's the stuff that's actually happening in my life. Now, as far as business is concerned, the best posts have been like those ones I was talking about that Ryan did that were just trash. Just to the point, blah, blah, blah. This is what you need to know. Those ones have outperformed everything else. But the ones that have, there's a difference between outperforming as far as views, and then that's brought in the most business. Those are two different things as well. So those ones that he posted got the most views, but the ones that brought in the most business were some of the ones that were a little bit more polished that we did, that looked more professional, that we spent the time to almost act through. So yeah. But then when it comes to actually creating the content, I have two different ways that I do it. I have regular, not videos. I have kind of a web of my brand. So everything that I want my brand is the Ehler lending team, Jessica and Ryan, to represent, integrity and generosity and being local and in the community. And I try to take those things and just put them in my life. Family's number one. So I'm always going to have my kids and stuff on there. This is what they're doing. This is what my kids are doing. I have found that trying to be a guru really doesn't do well for me anyways. And then with the video content, I think like I get ideas from other people's videos sometimes that aren't even industry related. So I saw one, we'll say it was like a St. Patrick's Day one. It was people selling it like photography or something, but it was a caption that they had. And then I take that caption and I roll it into a video idea. So I have one for Valentine's Day coming. Look out for that one because I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's really, but it is. I see something else. It gives me an idea and then I move along with it. So there is a little bit of creativity that goes along with it, but I don't know. I guess not everybody thinks that the same way that I do. So it's a little bit hard to explain. I don't know if anything that I just said makes sense.
It does. And it does 100%. Does most of your business come from social media? Are you doing ads? Is it part referral, part what's that look like?
So right now it's all like organic social media. I have a whole list of ads that I'm going to start running. We had run some ads for a while, spent a ton of money on it. Ryan did his thing. It wasn't the way that I wanted it. So we're going to go back and do it the way that like the ideas that I have. He gets a little bit more into a cookie cutter mind frame, and I like to go a little bit more outside of the box. And I think that will have more, but we've always gotten more from organic. The paid stuff is just to keep us top of mind.
Yeah. When you do paid stuff, is it like kind of like a local radius? Or are you going statewide? Is it just back to your original audience? Do you know how you're doing that?
Yeah, usually we do like just Arizona. Right now I can go to some other states. And then I'm also going to be, being more VA focused. I'm going to try to go more around bases and do it that way and see if that is a little bit better. I think maybe we had a little bit too broad of an audience the last time. And then also Facebook can sometimes get screwy. Like we were getting all kinds of ads from or all kinds of leads from Sacramento. So we're paying all of this money and we're getting all of these leads from a state that we've excluded. We're like, do not target people from this area, only here. And we were just, so sometimes it's unfortunate because it was thousands of dollars, but it is what it is.
What if you could collaborate with one influencer for your social media marketing? Who would it be? Who are you going to call?
Oh gosh, one influencer.
Anybody.
Like mortgage influencer or
no, just anyone. Yeah.
Anybody famous.
Oh gosh, I've like never. Okay, so there's this. She's from Australia, and she's more of a fitness chick. I'm still into the fitness thing, but she also owns her own businesses, and I just love her vibe. I would love to figure out a way to make something with her. It'd probably like be in bikinis or something, but it'll get a lot of attention.
Who is it?
Sophie Gwidolin.
Okay.
So she's a IFBB pro.
Okay.
So I've been following her from when I was competing, gosh, like 10 years ago. So, but I've just always followed her because she's so authentic and her vibe is just awesome. And you don't find that a lot. People aren't authentic, like we talked about earlier, and you know that it's crap. And so I have unfollowed a lot of people this last year because I'm like, I know, like I'm not buying what you're selling me. So
I've done a lot of that too, especially around political season and all kinds of stuff. Tommy could probably give you a little tips on that because Tommy reached out to Jesse Itzler.
Yes, I was on that. Yep, I was there. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Whole outreach to him.
Yeah, you never know what a simple DM can do. So, and what doors it can open. So,
yeah,
you should reach out to her.
I should. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get in better shape first.
If you could only use one social media platform for the next year, is it TikTok exclusively, or if you had to just pick one and only do one?
Yeah, for business, it would be TikTok. Personally, like I personally only like to really use Instagram, but for business, it would definitely be TikTok. We get a lot of reach from there. Like I said, the bad thing is when you're licensed in 29 states or whatever, half of the people that are talking to you aren't going to. You have a bunch of people that aren't qualified, but it's the best way to outreach. It's the best way to educate. A lot of people on there don't know anything about mortgage, and they seem to have more trust on TikTok, believe it or not, than anything else. People that reach out from TikTok, they really trust what you're saying and they only want to work with you. And it's kind of crazy. I've never actually seen anything like that before when you don't have an established relationship with them.
What one piece of advice that you could give someone in this industry, whether it be agent or loan officer, to make 2025 a successful year in their marketing? What would one piece of advice be that you would give them?
I mean, be authentic, like we've said. I mean, that's kind of the theme of everything. Don't be somebody that you're not, because one, you can't keep it up long term, and two, people are going to see through it. So if you're not showing up as who you really are, you're really shooting yourself in the foot in the long run. And give it
Isn't
time.
isn't it also you're going to attract the wrong person who you probably don't want anyway, right? Like Tommy and I listened to Trevor York at that event, and he was talking about, like, you need to attract more of the people who want to be with you or a relationship in business with you because of truly who you are. Those are going to be your best clients, your best advocates. The people who, you don't want, who are attracted to the fake person or the fake representation of you, that you don't want them anyway. They're going to probably be the biggest hassle anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to be your least likely to refer or generate other business from. And so, yeah, authenticity is something good, and keep at it. Consistency, that's a good one.
Yeah. I will say, though, that I am not going to be polarizing. And I know that a lot of people like to do that because then they're, attracting the people that are like-minded. But my political or religious beliefs do not need to be, you're alienating 50%. And my opinions on anything does not have to do about the money that I make or helping you get into a home. I don't care who you voted for. Let's get you into a home. I don't, yeah, that's something that I just have a boundary with. I'm not ever going to talk about it publicly. And I think that, like, I see a lot of loan officers that do it, and I'm like, are you doing business? Because you seem like an a-hole right now, whether I agree with them or not. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, you're turning
Yeah.
off 50% of the audience, like, automatically. And, like,
Yeah.
why?
But
Like,
there are a lot of
we're
people that
all,
are like, that's them being authentic. To me, that's not being authentic. That's shoving your beliefs down somebody else's throat. It's two completely different things. I can be myself without telling you what I believe in.
but they're not being authentic, because, like, I've never got an application like, hey, who'd you vote for, before I run your credit,
Yeah.
right? Before I work on trying to help you get a home for your family.
Right.
What's your favorite sports team? Because
Yeah.
if you're a Pistons fan, I'm out. Like, no, you're that's not you're this people. That's a problem with people, for sure.
Yeah.
And people forget, like, we're here to help people. It shouldn't
Yeah.
matter. Those things should not matter. And those things are personal beliefs. Like you, I keep those off social media. That's a very good tip for people. That's your personal business. That's your for you and your family and your close family. That's a good tip for sure.
What would you say? What's the wildest, craziest client story that you've ever had?
Um,
Tom and I
I
were talking about one earlier before we went live, so I'm just curious what.
so it was like my first year, and it was an FHA loan. So, they only needed their 3.5% down. They took their tax return, they put it on a card, then they went and gambled the money, thinking that they could double it and be able to pay even more. And they lost all of their money. We couldn't track what they had left because they took that tax return and put it on a card, and there was no trackable way. They didn't keep any receipts, nothing. I kept it together, and I think we only closed 1 week late. It was wild. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah, they just gambled away their down
Gambled it
payment.
away.
And it was like in one night. They just went to the casino and lost all of it. So I think that's probably the why. I've had other crazy things happen for sure. But I think that was definitely the one that made me like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, we had a guy
If
the other day that tried to rob a bank to get his down payment.
Oh, that's one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah,
some.
there's crazy stuff that happens. So
It's life, right? Like we get involved in people's lives, their personal business. You've had people lose down payment. I've had wives tell husbands they have to sell race cars, and it's crazy stuff. And that's always fun because a fully built race car is not gonna you're not gonna be able to prove the value of it. Jessica, if you weren't in mortgages, what industry would you be in? What do you think you would be great at if you weren't in mortgages?
I think I would go back to fitness, only because like I still love it. I still try to live my life, with the same principles that I had when I was living it day in and day out. It's not super lucrative, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I tried to do the corporate thing for a minute, and that was awful. It was way worse than I could have ever expected. Corporate is just not my jam. So I don't know. I'm sure I would come up with another business or something. I did love coaching, um, but that one, I don't know. It's hard not to take coaching personally when people aren't going to do what you're telling them to do, and then they're like, I don't know why it's not working, and you're like, oh my god. So that was the hard part with coaching that. Whereas in fitness, I could be like, I can see that you shoved this in your pie hole. What do you expect? Like, you can't. I don't know.
That this
I loved fitness coaching. Actually, I had a blast with it.
yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Even managing people, there's a lot of truth to that. It's like, gosh, I have no business. Like, really, what have you done to generate business? What did you do yesterday? Like, and you just go like
Right.
through the day with them, and like, oh, well, I went out and I walked for a little bit and worked out and had lunch. I'm like, cool, zero business
People
generating
are in
activity.
denial about what they're actually doing. And that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, how much are you on social media, but not doing anything important on social media? You can post something and then leave, or you can go to a group and you're working in that group or whatever, but then work on other things too. I can't say that I don't do the same things sometimes. Like the other day, it was really nice. So I went and laid by the pool for a couple of hours, but I'm not complaining about my paycheck. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
absolutely. As we kind of wind this down, what's your number one piece of advice you give to somebody who wants to dominate social media?
Just keep going. Don't worry about the views. Don't worry about whether or not people are calling you. It does take time, and it's hard because I'll look at videos that Ryan does, and I think mine have performed way less than anything he has ever put out there. But it wasn't, like I said, that wasn't me being necessarily authentic. I was trying to get a point across, and I did it in a way that wasn't authentic to me. So just show up as yourself and keep going. Keep posting. Don't go all in on one platform. Try a couple of other ones. Try doing images. You have to do a multi-prong approach. And the people that only do, like a lot of people, I think that we only do video marketing. And we're like, no, we also have a great website. We do HomeBot. We do all of these other things. We're meeting with the realtors. We're like, there are all of these other things going on behind the scene. Don't think that just because someone is known for something, that that's the only thing that they're doing.
I think the other thing too that you said earlier, which a lot of, including myself, get caught up in, views is not the same as like the you said, don't get caught up in the metrics, right? Like
Right.
views, like the amount of likes is not necessarily going to translate to the amount of business that you get from something. And so I think people need to listen to what Jessica said on that, because her and Ryan have a lot of experience with that, where something might have got like Jessica said, a ton of views, a ton of likes, but it generated no income. And so don't get caught up in that. That's something we all have to remember for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, it's all built that way where you get like gratification from a like or a comment or something like that. But at the end of the day, if it's not transforming into business, then it's you're not getting anywhere with it.
Right.
It's a dopamine hit. You're looking for
It
that
is. I mean,
100%.
it's validation for sure. You're like, oh, somebody liked what I did. But I want money, not validation. So
I think that's
I
perfect.
want to
end it
help
right there.
people, not validation. Okay, so change that.
Absolutely. Well, we'll wind this down. I don't know. You got a 30-second pitch to anybody who doesn't know you. Why should they follow you? Where should they follow you? How can they get in touch with you? And thank you for taking the time out of your day to come do this. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. So I am, like I said, mainly on Instagram, Jessica Ehler. If you want to check out our horrible TikTok, it is Ehler Lending Team. And then Ryan, everybody likes to follow Ryan. He's a lot more fun than I am because he does the adventures. So Ryan Ehler is on Facebook. But he's more fun than I am. It's probably not what I should be saying for my elevator pitch, but if you want to see wrestling and fun recipes that I make and stuff, my housewife life that I do on the side, then I'm on Instagram.
That's awesome. And what's your website?
I don't know. We just changed it. I think it's ehlerlending.com. It was Ehler Lending Team, and we had a hard time disconnecting it from our last place of employment. So I think we just changed it to ehlerlending.com. I don't even know if it's live right now, but we're working on it.
All
You
right.
can find
Awesome.
Jessica
Thank you
and
so
Ryan
much.
now on Facebook, Instagram, as they said, TikTok. We'll get Ryan to do like some Tide Pod challenges or something on TikTok, get a little more action going.
We're going to, I got a script and we're both going to shoot it the way that we want to and edit it. And we're going to see who does better. So that's our next little challenge that we're going to do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
awesome.
That's good. Well,
Because
cool.
we don't
Thank you
care
very
about the
much.
metrics.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jessica. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right.